Hello, viewers. I know it's been a long time. Sorry about that. But anyway, I'm glad to be back. Hope you're having a great day, staying purposeful and keeping healthy. Great. I did get some good comments from friends and some viewers on the channel. I know the number of you subscribers are pretty low, but I'm happy with some of the comments that I've received. And one of them wanted me to cover my startup story, and he wanted me to go a little deeper into my love stories and affairs in college. Probably I'll do that some other time. He believes it'll be useful for people like him who's in his 20s, maybe looking to do entrepreneurship or how to get a girl or whatever. So I will do that some other time. Uh, what got me curious for today's topic, I'll come to that, is I happened to watch one of the videos from Matt Walsh. I think it was about a week and a half ago, if I'm right. He's a person that I really admire for his confidence and skill. He's a fantastic thinker, great orator, very knowledgeable, and extremely articulate. Hope I can articulate as good as doing a podcast one day. Okay, great. So check out his video on, I think he did a wonderful video called "What Is a Woman." He's the host of a show called the Matt Walsh Show on YouTube, and he works for the Daily Wire. So check him out. You might like some of the topics that he covers and the way he communicates. All right. So coming to the video on the topic, he goes on to give advice to women. He basically talks about the dating market, how kind of screwed up it is today, and what is something women could do to identify, let's say, an intelligent man. It is of course given, right? I mean, women look for men who are kind, who are compassionate, and also men who are intelligent. I mean, why do you need to be intelligent? Because of course it's a sign that you might be a great provider and protector. So that part is also quite important. So he basically tells women, okay, do ask this question when you go on a date, maybe in the first date or the second date. I forgot which one it is. He says this is one question which will tell you if the man is reasonably intelligent or dumb, right? And the question goes something like this: define a period in history that appeals most to you and why. And then he goes on to argue that someone interested in history is bound to be very intelligent, and intelligence, of course, is a very hallmark quality, something women necessarily look for in their spouse or a mate. He strongly argues that people who aren't, that men in particular who aren't keen on knowing history are dumb. He's quite brutal about uh, judging people from that manner, but that's how he talks. Whether you agree or not, it's up to you. But yeah, it's quite dramatic the way he explains it, but that's his opinion, of course, right? I mean, it's up to women to figure out. Now, some might say, why not a question on nuclear physics or organic chemistry, for example? I don't know what the answer is, but I think it does make some sense, in the sense, I mean, a lot of things that we do today and the way we have evolved as humans, it's very important to know our antecedent, the way we have evolved. I mean, it really, I don't know how else to explain, but it helps us um, figure out why we have behaved certain way, why we have moved to certain part of the country. And if you look at history, it's more of a story. There's nothing, it's not boring as people think, because people read it on in their school and newspapers. But what is history? It's just a collection of stories that come in today's newspapers, or someone who's drafted to documented in some form. And typically, if in the case of victor versus the vanquished, is the victors who write a history, and people tend to believe it. That's it. It's basically human evolution, how the society has evolved, and what really has happened. Some of the events like French Revolution or the Battle of Panipat, whatever it is, it could be. Everything had some reason, right? Whether we believe the reason to be true or not, it's different. I mean, some are facts, some may not be facts. That's fine. But at least his argument is that you should at least know something. It shows that you're an inquisitive man and that you have some kind of knowledge, right? That's the way he argues. Now, I thought about it, and it does make a little bit of sense, but whether you believe it or not, it's up to you. But I think you might want to check out his podcast anyway on this particular topic to have a deeper understanding. Now, coming to a little nuanced spin, my own spin on it, I was thinking about it. Okay, it's a good question for people to actually ask in a date. Why not, right? And secondly, I was thinking, why aren't people marrying these days? And there's a lot of flimsy and ludicrous reasons that people give, that, oh, we are not compatible, we don't have shared interests, for example. So a lot of reasons that people of today are giving for not marrying. And if you are asking, oh, like, why should people marry, I'm not pro or against, but in general I'm pro marriage, because there's people haven't really figured out any other alternative forms of cohabiting. Things like living together has been an utter failure before marriage. It has higher divorce rates. So these things are, of course, a little. Some people might be prejudiced on one over the other, but anyway, I mean, I'm of the more conservative variety when it comes to this. But I thought, anyway, assuming that two people want to marry, right? What is I'm not going to go into what all is required for a marriage, but on this topic, extending what Matt Walsh was talking about, let's say one aspect or one trait of intelligence, I'm going to go a little deeper into that and argue as to why shared interest might not be as relevant in a marriage or any romantic relationship, whereas shared values might be of more relevance to staying in a good relationships. It could be a romantic relationship, or it could be a long marriage, which is kind of long term, right? I mean, raising children and leading a long way. So I was arguing with my kids just before doing this podcast, because they asked me, about what are you going to talk about? I said it's going to be values versus interest, and they said, okay. My daughter was like, what are values? Then I asked them, what did you define what values are? It so happened that they weren't able to answer, but I was able to prod them, and we got down to some of few things that I thought were some examples of good values. So let's start with values. So the way I look at values, these are some principles or some guiding principles that you have for yourself as an individual, not necessarily how the world functions, but you as an individual have some dictum, some kind of a principle, some kind of a template that defines your actions, character, and behavior for the most part. It doesn't mean that you don't deviate at all under all kinds of circumstances, but these are some principles that you strictly, most likely, are adhere to and follow for most part of it, right? Let's look at some examples for you. Like, it could be a compassion or caring for people around you, being very diligent or honest, or a person of high integrity. You're a person of high discipline, hygiene, hardworking nature, for example. You don't want to probably bribe and get things done. You're a reasonably fair person. I mean, talking about, let's say, good values, right? You're a person who doesn't lie as often as others. Maybe you lie less. Everybody lies, by the way, right? And you don't cheat. When I say cheating, I'm talking about, let's say, cheating someone of money or belongings, for example. Uh, let's say you could be a person who doesn't want to lead a ostentatious show pony kind of life. You're, in terms of finance, for example, or dressing, you're just someone who's wanting to lead a very simple life. I mean, that's how we are. For example, if you look at our family, we don't necessarily spend a lot of time watching TV. In fact, we don't have TV at home. We don't go to the movies much. Maybe it's once in a couple of years, and we don't eat out much. Again, it's like once in maybe 3-4 months. That's our shared principles that we have. We necessarily don't uh, do that. So every family has different ways. I'm just giving an example. So it could be a way of parenting. So these are shared values that you might have as a person, and you're looking for certain traits and values or principles in another person who may not exactly share these values. It's very difficult to find such a person, because no two persons are going to be compatible, even if you're brothers, sisters, parents, sons. That's the way we are defined. So don't look for 100% compatible. It's not going to happen. If you're at 70, 80, 60, go for it, right? That's what I would say. So these are shared values that you might want to define. And of course, it varies from person to person, but I'm just giving you some examples. Now, what are interests? It's pretty straightforward. Interests are like, hobbies. It could be hiking, sports, swimming, or some kind of gym workouts, photography, reading, horse riding, learning some languages, poetry, or pottery, whatever you may call it, like traveling, for example, right? These are interest hobbies. Now, if you're going to base your relationship on common interest, or actually not having a common interest, that's kind of stupid and ludicrous. It doesn't make sense, because I'll tell you why. Because these interests will change with time. As you grow, as you mature, as you become a parent, or as you just navigate, that's how life is for most people. The things that I was interested in 10 years back, 20 years back, I don't even have an idea why I was doing it at that time. I don't do it anymore. I used to play a lot of cricket. I was captain of Cisco and Huawei cricket team. I just don't even watch cricket anymore. I was a lot of sports person those days and crosswords stuff, and now I'm more into reading books, things like podcast, working out in the gym. My interests have completely changed. And to tell you the truth, my wife has absolutely no interest in any of the interests that I have. And a lot of people that I know, a lot of my friends, their wives absolutely have no interest in their man's interest. It doesn't matter. Why should it matter? Because interests change. But values, yes, they create the foundation for long term compatibility and mutual understanding. I'm not saying it's not mutable, right? Yes, some values might change over time, it's okay. But largely, you should have at least a few values that are quite common that you share. That kind of helps you form the long term bond and to navigate the challenges in a marriage, which are bound to happen in every relationship. You have to navigate them. And these values are kind of bridges that you will have to have, which makes it easy to cross those bridges. I'm sorry, right? It helps you with long-term alignment, commitment, respect for each other, and it's easier to communicate when you have these shared values. Otherwise, it becomes another topic for you to fight, right? Conflict resolution becomes very easy, personal growth becomes easy, and then you become a little more resilient. So these are things that you should look for in a mate or a spouse rather than things like interest. If you have common interest, okay, some common interest is great. In fact, as a man, you would probably not like your wife. Oh, I'm going to play golf. Oh, I will also come. I'm going to go and watch the soap opera. I'm also going to come. In fact, you will find it irritating if she comes with you all the time. Won't you, as a man? Right? You need your own space, and she needs her own space sometimes. Why would you want shared interests all the time, and why would you keep that as a base or a necessity for your relationship to work? If you have different interests, in fact, I would argue that it becomes even more interesting. In fact, she'll probably come and talk about some things that she does which you don't know about. I mean, there's a chance for you to learn something new. And you're doing something new if you want to sit and talk about, which you should with your spouse, at least, 2, 3 times a week of each 15, 20 minutes is a good enough. And if you're talking about some of the things that you're interested in, your hobby, and you're talking to her about it, and if she's showing interest in even listening, that's great. That's good enough. She doesn't need to necessarily play cricket with you or a carom with you or come to the gym. It's okay if she doesn't come. So again, for women, when who are looking for a good spouse, I know you're looking for a lot of good parameters in the man, but if you're looking for shared values, it's great. It's a better alternative than, let's say, rejecting someone just based on some interest that that he has at that particular time. It will change. So you don't have to base your long-term commitment and relationship just based on some small interest. Oh, he likes eating dosa, but I don't like dosa. I mean, it can change. All right, so that's pretty much what I had for today. Hope you found this useful. I'll be sorry for the long gap. Of course, I needed more time to. Was a little busy over the last few weeks. Didn't really get to write down things so that I can have a more structured discussion with you. But I hope you like this session. Feel free to share your comments and your views on this topic. Of course, let's keep it more interactive that way. Just like Yal Manigandan who commented and asked me to cover some topics, it'll be useful if you also type and tell me what are the things of interest for you so that I can, prepare myself and maybe have a nice chat on that. All right. You have a great day. Cheers. I'll see you next week.